Dang. What I gotta do, what I gotta do. Last time we were live was a month ago. Damn. Crazy. Last time we were live was a month ago on YouTube. Look what I just got. Dumb. Unreal. Unreal. 7 people left. Come get off, you son of a bitch! Bro, why can't I run? Fortnite's bombs. Bro, Fortnite's bombs. Whoops. Yo, chat, yo! Yo! That's crazy, dog. Global show. Throwing nigga, throwing nigga, I ain't got that back showing.
We are pressed to believe that Kanata would let that one go for free. Same case scenario for his teammates, but Pic's team is Storm. They've just been playing their own methods, and it's worked out heavily for them.
Team with such little experience, but you could never tell from watching them in the lobby. Set game plan, set structure, and excellent execution. The young Poles continue to make their mark on this lobby, but there is still plenty to do. Acorn and Aegis have plenty to do here. Foyo.
Somewhere along the way, they might be able to find him, but if they aren't able to bring him back, basically an uphill battle for Acorn and Aegis. First that's Swizzy and Queasy, though, they're still able to make their way towards the bunker. Not a Rapid Bulge, probably thinking better. Not really willing to get caught up in this instance, but maybe they choose to wait outside. Maybe it's somebody else entirely that might be looking to shut Queasy down.
There's ball this early on in the game, so even there they're not that close to another, they have to rotate towards that OXR HQ. They have to rotate towards the south to Ravanya and Marius and Pixie. They're going to be able to kind of see Merstash with you and Squeezy. If they memorize their outfits throughout the course of the game, they're definitely going to get that 100% confirmation and a chance to take them down if they're going to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know that's something Vanya will keep track of. So we'll see if that ends up leading to a clash between the two teams. It's something Vanya predicted would happen. He said he wants to play for Height today. We'll see if he's a man of his word. For reason, Chap and Mr. Savage, they've done incredibly well at times throughout this competition, but speaking to Mr. Savage yesterday, he said, hey, I feel like we can do even better. We got another gear to go up.
Yeah, multiple games yesterday inside of the top 6. Can you imagine going from, hey, I'm done with Fortnite, to a chance to win even more money continue to build your legacy. And for someone like Chap, he's a youngin'. You know what I mean? He's still earning his stride, earning his respect, and he's doing it in such a good fashion. Their road through Major 3 to get that qualification spot and then showing up big in day 1. And now they got to lurk onto Sphinx, Muzz, and Shadow, waiting for the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Sphinx goes down. Reason, Chap, Savage, they're ready to start this fight. That's going to get cleaned up with ease, but instead of running away, they realize with a 3v2, it's now or never. They need the points if they want to climb that leaderboard.
Reason, Chap, and Savage, they're trying to be as quick as possible. They don't want to allow the opportunity for Muzz or Shadow to escape, but they're just not fast enough. Chap, Reason, Mr. Savage, they're going to have to be content with the body loot off of Sphinx alone. But Chap's still seeing if he can try and pull out a little bit more here. Good tag into Shadow's HP bar. They've got Muzz a little bit cornered, but Chap, Reason, Mr. Savage, this is all that they want. They're stuck just outside edge of zone, and they know if they clear out Muzz and Shadow, they're going to have free rotation path with nobody left behind them.
You see Reason, his instincts are to make plays happen. You don't want to be too ambitious, don't want to give them any room to put your team in a bad situation. Mr. Savage taking a big chunk of damage, and that will slow things down just a moment. And again, they did well to get the first. Of course, they want even more out of this. They know these guys are going to be weak. These guys are going to be on the back foot. So they'll continue to pressure, but let's not make any mistakes here, boys.
Yeah, they're out of zone. They're kind of thinking not too many teams even hear the noise, but get Zed away and Scarf, but they definitely do, and they're moving in. But Muzz goes down. Chap trying to finish this fight, and they do. So Savage takes down Shadow, but the third party is now making it hard for them to survive.
That's the way to do it. You saw Savage, Chap, both shotguns in hand, playing together, taking advantage of the man advantage. And now that puts them in a much more favorable position. Well played from Chap, Savage, and Reason.
Not the same story, though, for Clicks. Visuals brazen and diminished since it didn't work out at Rangers Ruin. They're going to have to find that surge elsewhere. And unfortunately, it's only Clicks, last man standing from his team and just being absolutely battered. There's no way he's going to be able to withstand the pressure. Braids, Visuals diminished, coming out on top.
Not every day you see teams carrying away that minigun just to melt through those builds. You're not going to be able to hold the box at all, but this is exactly how that fight started. A lurk play coming out of a menace. He dropped a mini shed on his head, and they went in and cleaned up that last elimination onto Clicks.
And you can see the frustration on Clicks' face when he went down. Such a frustrating way to get out of this game. They'll have to hit the drawing board.
Malabuko walks being all it takes is a quick pan over. And M8 is going to send a surging roar through this arena. That has got to be such an amazing feeling. But saw a glimpse of Mustache just now, and this could be trouble brewing for both of these teams.
Yeah, and you know, Tackle, you'll know better than anyone else commentating over this trio this year. They're so good when it comes to momentum. They pick up that first win, they keep things rolling. This game will be a big sign of whether or not these guys are really here to play in this competition, or whether it was a one-hit wonder.
Especially after that Game 7 win being in such a commanding fashion, too. But that's the gameplay that we were almost expecting to see in day one. But as long as they manage to capture that kind of performance in this secondary day, there might not be a point amplifier, but there's still plenty of opportunity to catch up on some positioning in the leaderboard.
Yeah, I'm always saying you got to leave no regrets behind when you play on such a big stage like this with a huge life-changing amount of money. And I think yesterday some teams may have played just a little bit too safe compared to how they play during the majors to qualify for this global championship. Being able to go back last night, VOD review, and really figure out what was going wrong. You're seeing a more aggressive pace coming out from some of these teams. Not exactly every step of the way, but when they get a key knock, when they get some good damage, they're now starting to play more and more aggressive, and most importantly so, more and more teams, just like Boyo, Agers, and Acorn that we see here, are willing to contest that high ground in the later portions of this game.
Gentlemates will certainly be happy to see Poyo back up and in the running, but you have to wonder, Levin, what does their surge actually look like? They seemed a bit desperate there, trying to find some additional surge trades with Agers, Acorn, and Poyo, but it's the backdrop pressure. iDrop catching Acorn completely off guard, but there's such a direct path that they have to take into zone. They can't sit outside any longer, and it's just making them too prone to being picked off in the process.
going to be a tough game to fight your way back into. So many of our teams here just set up so well. Everything looking incredibly cozy for Dimash and Picks right now. And they'll continue to pressure some of the teams looking to make their way on into that safe zone.
Just gotta let it sit and appreciate it after all. But Pollo, gentlemates, they can hear everything surrounding them. But Pollo, he's gonna look to try and close in on the surge base. Again, desperation factoring in, heavily 500 below. They've got to get damage online. They've got to do it ASAP before they find themselves being taken out of this lobby entirely. Pollo, Agers scrambling, but it's not enough. They can't stand tall. Cammy, Hardy, and iDrop now benefiting exclusively from those siphon materials.
Cammy could smell the desperation on those guys, and they capitalize. Unfortunately, it was always going to be an uphill battle for Pollo and his trio. That was a tough game, but there's still a couple more for them to get back in it. Cammy, though, now looking much better off after being able to pick up some of them Cypher meds.
Yeah, and it was actually iDrop who got that initial knock and elimination onto Acorn, leaving them that far below the damage threshold. But now the zone pulling up over towards the north. This is a good zone for the majority of the lobby. There's not too many different elevation changes, especially drastic ones at that. It's just as long as it doesn't pull towards the west. That's what the entire lobby has to be hoping for right now, including Pings, Wox, and Malibuca. From high ground victory royale in that last game to low ground for now. But this is exactly kind of the same pace they were taking. It wasn't until zone 10, maybe even 9, that they actually went up for that high ground and held it for the rest of the game. But you're seeing some teams above the damage threshold with their eliminations. But 4 eliminations though, Veno, Vico, and Flixie, they're 178 below the damage threshold. They know they have their work cut out for them and get focused outside of the lobby, making it hard for them to find their way in without burning through these materials.
They've at least got an ample amount of mats though, so they're not too pressed just yet, but they're gonna have to start to kick things into overdrive because Vico, Flixie, Veno, they're still sitting underneath that damage threshold. They've got Oceana directly next to them. This is the first fight they can find. This is the first fight they're gonna take, and Anon immediately beamed, thrown back. That's all the damage that they needed, just barely pushing them above the threshold line.
Those are the fights that they strive for. Those are the fights that they are so effective in. We've seen it all year long. They'll find themselves in tough situations like that and create their way out of it.
511 damage here. Kanata, Bolts, and Rapid. They had a fantastic game number 1. Unfortunately, they weren't able to pick up that VR, like Kanata said, to start the day, but they're here again with another opportunity with Rapid and Bolts by his side. His IGL, his Fragger, that's a lot of confidence that's continuing to brew in that trio. Same here for Pickstorm and Demas. I said underdogs to top dogs. Levin, this team is probably one of the biggest surprises in EU, right?
Yeah, these guys have been phenomenal. We've highlighted it so much. But this is another example of a game where they're playing at their own pace. Excellent timings. I know when we've spoken to Coach Sven, he's always talked about the preparation of these guys being so important. They understand how to play this lobby. And again, this looks like a game where we will probably see them in that top 5, top 4 towards the end.
Pixivania Marius, they want this. They're starting to get a little bit of posturing now. 8th zone. They're ready to maybe try and make that approach towards holding height, but it's still very early.
This is the Vanya Boo high game. Are we finally getting to see it here online?
We finally got a chance here. 411 points. These are the ones that are essentially hot on the heels of that first place team. They're building out, looking for opportunities to reconnect. You see Marius focusing down that second height. It may not be an AR, but the damage is still there. But Flixie and Veno, they both go down. Vico's still 59 below the damage threshold. He does have minis. He does have some big box, even a med miss. But the miracle thing is that Storm Surge is going to turn off. It's going to reactivate later on in this game, but at least he knows where he stands.
But they were just constantly teeter-tottering for far too long on that surge threshold. Mr. Savage in a very similar position. He's just trying to get out of the low ground, but he won't get the chance. Chap falls directly after him, and that's going to be a little bit of open ground now for somebody else to try and roll through in this ultimate lower layer. But still, Swizzy, Mustache, Queasy, they are plotting for that height take.
Yeah, it's never a good sign when you see a team fighting on zone transition. You want to be ready to rotate. These guys are Queasy scouting out the rotate. Where can he find an angle to use that crash pad? Gonna have to create more space to do it.
That one's going to be easy.